Hello everyone, welcome back to Base Damage, hope you're all doing well. Today I wanted to take a look back again at the Villains from RWBY, and this is a deck that I've made before in the past, but that was before the premium booster came out, and there was a whole bunch of new cards that were able to help boost the deck a little bit. I know everyone's more so running like the choice standby builds. This is an 8 salvage, but I feel it's still just as fun. I wanted to make one more themed around the bad guys, duh. So wanted to share that with you today and show off what cards from the premium booster and everything kind of help give it a little bit of an upgrade, and some other cards that I feel I didn't talk about the first go around as well, so I wanted to take a look at those today. So there are a few non-villains, and let's go ahead and address those really quickly. First and foremost, the anti-change. There's no anti-change for the villains, so I kind of took liberties with this one and decided, hey, the Ren is, for a day, he joined the bad guy club, just saying. Because, and you could bump this up to 2. But if you don't have anti-change, that immediately makes this like way worse. So I know some people, when they do waifu builds, they're like, okay, 4 of the cards in the deck don't have to be the actual waifu. So I'm kind of following a little bit of that rule for this one. Next, we have 2 copies of this RWBY, and yes, I had to include RWBY. This is the Climax Swapper. I double-checked, and I don't remember seeing any other Climax Swappers in the set, so I just said, you know what, 2 copies of this, which, to be fair, when we talk about the level 3 Neo, you could drop this down to 1, and I'll explain that when we get there. And lastly, I know Jacques isn't exactly one of the bad guys, but he's kind of a bad guy. He's kind of in that weird spot. If you've watched the anime, you know, like, hey, he's obviously trying to do it for his family and stuff, but at the same time, he's a twat. So the memory kick backup, I kind of included that. If you want to drop that altogether, you could to put like another Ren in here, but that was the kind of non-villain characters that I just wanted to show really quickly. And I guess even like following my own rule, I know Amber isn't a villain card, but she's required for card effects in here, so I'm counting her with that as well. But we'll discuss her effects when we get to it. All right, so start off the big baddie of the group, obviously, Salem. We got to talk about the one organizing everything behind the scenes. So we have a 3/2 9K. This is Salem. She gets 1,000 power for each character in your opponent's backstage specifically, so she could become an 11,000. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1 stock. If you do, choose one of the following effects and perform it. Either stock swap. Your opponent puts all of their stock in the waiting room, put the same number of cards from the top of their deck into their stock. Always good. Really, really nice to have that here. Just this card existing is like a threat to your opponent. So, or put the bottom 5 cards of your opponent's deck into the waiting room and deal X damage to your opponent. X is equal to the number of climaxes revealed amongst those 5. So, possibly a little extra burn damage if you just need to, like, you know, poke them for like a couple, but you're mainly putting her in here for that stock swap. Absolutely. This is one of the new cards, Tyrion Inner Circle, and he's going to come back up in a little bit here, but he is a 3/2/8/5. If you have 4 or more Remnant characters, this gets -1 level while in your hand. Very easy early play condition. During your turn, if you have another Remnant character, this gets 2,500 power and a very, very fun little ability. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you may put that character into your opponent's memory. Try to get rid of some annoying cards. And it's only during your turn, so it's not like your opponent can be like, I'm going to ram my character into your Tyrion. Do you want to memory kick them? And you try to like bait you into like memory compressing them. And yeah, I hate when people do that, but no, whatever. Yeah, just really good. Also, he is a healer. When this card is placed on stage from hand, you can discard a card. If you do, put the top card of your clock into your stock. He just kind of does a lot of interesting things, and only 2 copies, but like I said, going to come back up in a little bit here. 4 copies of the quote-unquote finisher of the deck. She doesn't have a lot of pushing power, but it's all good. A 3/2/8K, Cinder Complete Maiden Powers. If Amberfall Maiden is in your memory, this gets 3,000 power. This is why I say that Amberfall Maiden is kind of has to lump in with the villains due to the fact of you have to have her in memory, at least 1 copy of her in memory, to be able to make certain that Cinder gets really big at that point. So she'll become an 11. She heals 1 on play. The reason you need the big buff is when the battle opponent becomes reversed, if Fall Maiden's Downfall is in your climax area, burn your opponent for 1 and put that character on top of your opponent's deck. So you have to be able to reverse. You have to get her big. 8K is not going to, like, do that consistently. Let's be real. So Amberfall Maiden has to be lumped in with the villain cards. So sorry about that. If you were a Amber fan, I'm just saying she's on the bad guy side. But we also have to talk about, continuing on, Cinder Inner Circle. This is also from the premium booster, 3/2 10k. When this card is placed on stage from hand, you can discard one card. If you do, all players return all cards from their waiting rooms into their decks and shuffle their decks. So a little bit of refresh, kind of possibly could save you from taking refresh damage for game there. So then we have, during the turn this is placed on stage from hand, when damage dealt by this card is canceled, you can burn one time. So just a little bit extra cancel burn, kind of nice. Once again, I don't feel she's like super crazy. You're obviously trying to go for this Cinder in particular, but it's a nice little addition. The Neo here it kind of helps facilitate some shenanigans. So for one, like I mentioned before with the level 0 RWBY Climax Swapper, Neo has an interesting little effect. She's a 3/2 9/5. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can pay a stock to grab back a Climax from your waiting room. That's why I say you could drop that level 0 RWBY down to one copy in place for something else. I just kind of put two just kind of as a placeholder for now. But because you have two of the Neos in the deck, an argument could be made for that. Even more so for the second ability. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can put one Remnant character, one Remnant character from hand to waiting room. I'll get the words correct eventually. If you do, choose up to 2 characters in your opponent's waiting room and put them on separate open positions of their stage. Now, why would you do this? Remember how I said the Cinder has to reverse? If your opponent sees your endgame and is like, oh, you have to have an on-reverse combo, clearly, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm just going to ram some stuff and then you can't reverse and kill me. You can use the Neo to summon out 2 characters. So you can summon 2 of these Cinders, summon one of the Neo, maybe grab back the Climax that you need for the Cinder, and then use her effect to summon 2 characters out in front of the Cinders so that the Cinders have guaranteed reverses. So good little synergy there. Very nice. Like we said before, anti-change Ren, 2,500 backup. Oh, actually, no, I should state the cost. You have to sack a character. For the backup, you pay an additional 2 and sack a character. So that could also come up for later on if your opponent has on-reverse combos, you could sack them to prevent the on-reverse combo type thing. All right, moving on to the level 2s. After Ren, we have a 2/1 7,000 Tyrion Evenly Matched. And no, we're not talking about the trap card from Yu-Gi-Oh! When this card attacks, if the character facing is level 3 or higher, this gains an extra 6,000 power until end of turn. So a very fun level 3 Slayer that just gets up to 13 before any other buffs. Just really, really nice. When this card's level 2 or higher, battle opponent becomes reversed. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Remnant character, you may choose a Remnant character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. He just gets free, obviously after top checking, but you don't have to pay any other cost other than just kill a level 2 or higher battle opponent and salvage, get set up for your end game. Really nice. An argument could be made to increase the number of copies of this particular Tyrion. Yes, but it's whatever. I just kind of put him at 2 for right now. Continuing on, we have Cinder Infiltrating Beacon Academy. It's a 2/1 4K. All of your level 3 or higher characters in front of this card gain 2,000 power. She's obviously trying to help facilitate her level 3, so you would make that even bigger. When this is placed on stage from hand, if your memory has 2 or less cards, you can choose an Amberfall Maiden in your waiting room and put it into your memory. So you can get set up, obviously having this in your memory for an even bigger buff from the level 3. So obviously very nice there. One last effect, at the beginning of your climax phase, if Amberfall Maiden is in your memory, choose one of your characters and it gets an additional 1,500 power until end of turn. Now I do want to do a quick little just kind of calculations right here. You obviously need her to be very big. She'll be at 11,000 when the Amberfall Maiden is in your memory. She'll get an extra 2,000 from the effect of this Cinder right here. So you're sitting at 13. An extra 15 from here, so at least one of the Cinders could reach 14.5. Then with your Climax, you could hit 15.5 before any other. We have some like a 500 or Global 500 or something. You can hit 15, which is very, very nice. You're more than likely going to get over most things. So just putting that in perspective, you can get her big. So very understandable there. The Jacques Schnee 3K Memory Kick Backup, obviously. I had to talk about that. The level 1 combo, Cinder leading a Grim Invasion, is a 103k. During your turn, this gets 2k power, so defensively, she's extremely weak. You're going to be trying to get your combos and everything set up. And hopefully, maybe not tri-field her, but maybe like, 2 or 3 copies, like 1 or 2 copies. When this is placed on stage from hand, if your memory has 2 or less cards, you can choose an Amber Fall Maiden in your waiting room and put it into your memory. So you don't need anything else in the deck that really has to have more than just 1 copy of Amber in your memory. But you can get up to, because it says 2 or less cards, you could put up to 3 of the Ambers into your memory for some decent little memory compression off of both your level 1, level 2, the Amber sends herself to memory as well. On attack, if Grim Invasion, which is the other salvage trigger, is in your climax area, put the top card of your deck into your waiting room. Choose up to 1 level X or lower remnant character in your waiting room, return it to your hand equal to the level of the cards put into your waiting room by this effect. Now, it's only the 1 card, but you can still try to get something back. It's not as good as the typical, what people call the cigarettes combo, where you mill 2 and then salvage back. You just milled the 1, it's whatever. So as such, there are a couple cards in here to try to help facilitate a slightly bigger waiting room for your options. But moving on, before we get to one of those options, we have Salem Inner Circle. Now, this is really fun, and this is going to go back to the Tyrion. It's a 103k. It is a level 1 or lower reverser, which comes up, obviously, especially against those standby decks that pop the 1/1s in. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can put a remnant character from hand to waiting room. If you do, search your deck for the Tyrion Inner Circle, the early play level 3. So being able to just straight up search your early play is really nice, which is why I wanted to include like 3 copies of her instead of just 2, which I normally would. But you could get away with just 2, totally fine. But yeah, being able to search your early play, really, really nice. All right, so the Emerald is the one I alluded to before. So 0015. Your other character in the middle position of your center stage gets 500 power, so nice. But this is a very interesting brainstorm. Pay 1, rest 2 characters, mill 5. You specifically have to mill these specific Fall Maiden's Downfall or Grim Invasion. You have to mill those to get the brainstorm effect. I was about to say the climax combo. Which it says climax combo right there, technically. The brainstorm effect to go off. For each of those salvage triggers that gets milled, search your deck for a remnant character and add it to your hand. So because you're milling 5, 1, you have really, really nice deck speed with that. 2, being able to set up your waiting room for potential multiple salvages from your level 1, but also just really, really nice to be able to search the deck instead of having to grab back from waiting room to take those targets out. Alrighty. Now this is one I wanted to include. It's a tech 1 of in here, but there's debates where you could bump this up more depending on what you yourself like more. This is from the premium booster. It's a 0015. It's a global 500 for all your remnant characters. Very nice, but it has a very, very fun act ability. You tap it to choose one of your characters, and that character gets the following ability till end of turn. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you can put the top card of your opponent's clock into the waiting room, and if you do, put that character into your opponent's clock. Some very, very nice removal that outside of the level 3 Cinder that would put stuff on top of the opponent's deck you really didn't have before. But now, like, you can get some very, very nice removal, to which you could even use this on, like, say, the effect of the level 1 reverser, or if you have another reverser, say, like, in a different deck build, you can still give that to them and make it so you get very nice, like, guaranteed removal off of that. It's just a tech 1 of right now, but if you wanted to change around your own ratios, like I said, you could drop 1 copy of the Climax swap RWBY. Because of the Neos existing, you could, like, drop 1 down, bump this up to 2, whichever you prefer. So, 4 copies of Amber Fall Maiden. Oh no, this does not, I forgot it does not have an effect to go to memory. I lied to you. So 002k, during your turn, this gets 1000 power. When this card is placed on stage from hand, pay 1, put the top card of your deck into your clock, and salvage back a remnant character from your waiting room. So my brain, I thought it went to memory. I was incorrect on that. So we do have more cards though. Obviously the Climax Swapper RWBY has a second effect I didn't state when I was talking about it before. On play, to stage from hand, look at the top card of your deck, put it on top of your deck or into your waiting room. Next we have Cinder Scouting. We have 001k. When this is placed on stage from hand, pay 1, discard a remnant character, and if you do, look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck. Choose 1 card amongst them, put into your hand, put the rest into your waiting room. So that you could use to grab your climaxes for your combos and everything. So very nice there. It also, like, mills, gets stuff in the waiting room for the level 1 Cinder and everything. Obviously, very good. Didn't have this in the first build for some reason, and I don't know why I didn't, but it's really good. Roman Towards a Heist, 00500. When this is placed on stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a remnant character, put it into your hand and then discard 1 card. So a little bit of hand filtering, very nice. When this is put into your waiting room from the stage, you can pay 2 stock. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 remnant character, reveal it to your opponent, add it in your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So, lastly, behind my head here, Mercury Black is a 0015. All of your other remnant characters gain 500 power, so another global 500. When your character's trigger check reveals a climax with a salvage trigger in its trigger icon, which is the whole deck, choose one of your characters and it gets an extra 2,000 power till end of turn. Very, very fun here. I realize once again my head is covering. I only have 2 copies. I initially had him at 3, but I did drop him down to 2 to include a copy of the Emerald here from the premium booster. 4 copies of Fall Maiden's Downfall. That is a really crazy image right there. And this is also just as intimidating. 4 copies of Grim Invasion. All right, that is going to be the deck for today. So thank y'all very much for watching. I do greatly appreciate. Like I said, I just wanted to theme a really fun RWBY deck around the villains. I feel they don't get enough love and appreciation. But at the same time, I would just be happy for more RWBY cards in the future. So hopefully we will. If we don't, I'll just cry a little bit. But all right, that is going to be it for us today. Thank y'all very much for watching. If you want to, feel free to like, subscribe, all the cringy YouTuber shenanigans. Feel free to join the Discord. Link for that will be in the description. And we will see y'all on the flip side. Stay based.